You're listening to the GX3 High Time Podcast. We believe the time is now. Romans 13:11 says, "Now it is high time to awake out of sleep." So wake up, lean in, and let's pursue Christ together. This is the GX3 High Time Podcast.
Got guns and game, carry me home. Got guns and game, I ain't on my own. Out in the wild or down by the flame, I was saved by grace. Got guns and game.
Welcome into the GX3 High Time Podcast. This is John and
Pastor Shaun.
I'm Bubba.
All right. We're so glad that you're with us. And this week, we've got the title of the show is Only God Can Give It. And we're going to have the testimony of Mr. Phil up there in West Tennessee. And what a blessing it was to get to know him and to hear his story and all that God provided. And it was a blessing, tremendous blessing to us. I know it'll be a tremendous blessing to everyone that hears it. As he goes over the land, the heritage, and all those things, and man, it's a God story.
Yep. We was just listening over his story, and while we was listening to it, I was looking at the banner behind us, and we just had the last episode that we recorded. We was talking about getting up to Tennessee and what all took place there, and I was thinking about in the fall what had took place there, the changes in the people's lives, and then just hearing him talk about getting the land and talking about how he uses it to honor God, and he has retreats and he does his church stuff out there. But I just wonder if he'd ever imagined that there would have been a men's retreat held out there in his cabin, and then the little mini revival that took place in all of our hearts. You know what I'm saying? I was just rolling through that in my mind while he was talking about it, just thinking about the big picture of things sometimes.
Oh yeah, and what God did on those grounds, that's holy ground, as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely,
because God did a mighty, mighty work, which you are going to hear about in the weeks to come, as we talk about the Deer Camp Men's Retreat 25, which really solidified even more in our hearts. And John, what a piece of property, man, and what a story.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for y'all to hear it. It's going to be a blessing to you, so we'll catch you on the other side. Well, we are here with Mr. Phil Williams, and sir, what a blessing it is to know you and to spend time with you. I hope you know that, and you sure feel like family.
I do, and you all do too, and it's welcome to Huckleberry Hill.
Yes, sir. We love you very much.
Boy, we let it go, didn't we?
It's beautiful
Hey,
around here. Absolutely beautiful.
We love you all so much, and you have some great guys with you, and there's true Christian people. And for all the church members that do get to look at this, if y'all don't cut it all out, are so fortunate to have men like you guiding them. As a little church pastor, I can understand the things that you all have to do, and not only you, but your lay people as well. They're so important to you, and they're so helpful to you, and they do the job. And now I'm going to try to do what you asked me to do. Is that okay?
Yes,
y'all,
sir.
they didn't pay me to do this, y'all. But we've got some little insects out here that you all may have down there close to where you live, and it's called a chigger. And a chigger and sin have a lot in common. If you got chiggers on you, you're going to scratch yourself to death. If you've sinned, you're not going to sleep very well at night. You're not going to sleep very well at night if you have a pretty good little dose of chiggers either. But Dad wrote this poem. He was Poet Laureate of Carroll County and the Associate Poet Laureate of the state of Tennessee, Billy Williams. And I'm going to try to do it, and if I mess up, then they're going to have to erase it. So I'm going to try to do it all right the first time. They say the Lord made all good things and set out in the shade, but now there's some things crawling around they ain't so sure God made. There's a little bitty booger, the smallest of his kind. Too bad he only lives below the Mason-Dixon line. If you've ever picked blackberries in the summer when it's hot, you've met that little guy before, you'll soon know what you got. He'll get around your waistline, down between your thighs, and keeping you awake all night is where he'll specialize. About the stroke of midnight, when you're mad enough to stomp, that's when that war really starts. You'll scratch and he'll chomp. The only way to stop him is with grease of pork or mutton. You rub it on your sit-down place and around your belly button. The Lord laid down to take a nap. At least that's what I figure. He stepped into his shop, and made that little bug. At least that's what I figure. God bless you, and stay away from tall grass if you're in shorts.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Well, brother, if you would you mind sharing your testimony a little bit with us?
Not at all. If you have a place like this, you got a lot to be thankful for.
Yes, sir.
And if you don't have a place like this, you still have a lot to be thankful for wherever you are.
Right.
God gives us every day, and He brought all of us together, and glory hallelujah, it was a good thing. And I start every little talk with glory hallelujah, and I mean it.
Yes, sir.
I really do. God is so good. But my dad started out with this little piece of property, and he finally got it up to 60 acres over about 50 years. Whenever he passed away, he left my 4 sisters, myself, and my stepmother 10 acres each. I bought their 10 acres each, that was back in 85, from them, and started to add as God would allow. And I've ended up with 200 acres, and it's just been a blessing for me just to get to come out here. To begin with, I owned a furniture store, one of the largest in this part of the country. Did lots of business, had it for 50 years, and I decided one day, God said, if you don't quit pretty quick, you ain't going to get any time off. You know how it goes. You're a preacher, same way. You could preach forever. You could preach forever if you had the opportunity. You know, if people just keep, and you don't lose your mind. And we try not to do that. But it's just been a blessing to be able to come when you're a mayor of a town, and that will make you really go to God a lot. I mean, a lot. But I've been mayor for almost 50 years, continually serving. And by the way, you can check me out on, what is that, Wikipedia?
Yes,
I'm on that. I'm on that for being the longest serving mayor in the state of Tennessee, which is just fun to be able to do that still. But this is going to be my last round. But the Lord came to me at an early age. I was about 10 years old. And we were having a little revival, you know, and one night I just felt His presence just grab hold of me and just say, now look, you got to do something. You've got a decision to make. You can't sit on no fence and do what you're doing. You've got to be all mine. So I heard that for about 2 nights of that revival. And then that third night, there's a whole bunch of us heard it, I reckon. Because I started up there and I looked back and it looked like a Christmas parade. We had several people going up there to give their life and their heart and soul to the Lord. And we did that. But, you know, I hate to brag about it. I mean, I've never been in any trouble of any kind, and I've always worked hard to stay straight. And I've worked every day of my life, and I'm almost 80 until about 3 months ago. And then that's when God said, you got to go home. Got something in my, excuse me. But I did. I went home, and I went back every day for 2 months. And now, as you know, I just go back when needed. And that's pretty good. And that's the way most Christians are. You know, we go back when we're needed. But we don't volunteer as much as we used to. But now the volunteering is a big deal, especially in a big church. But thank y'all, by the way, for taking my grandson, Max, and bringing him up. He's going to be great. He's a good guy. He really is. He's a sight. And that new baby, I'm going to see it in about 2 weeks. I already told Miss Carolyn. I was headed to Palatka. But I'm going to go down there and see him and visit with them because the Lord has really blessed us with that little child. That makes about 9 we have grandchildren on both sides. See, my wife passed away when she was 51 years old. She had pancreatic cancer. Well, the lady that I'm married to now lived 4 houses down, and her husband had pancreatic cancer. Well, a year later, we were married. God put us together. And the way He did it, I sat down in a recliner one night at the house. Of course, you're by yourself and you're lonesome, sure. But I went to sleep, and I was really sound asleep, and something hit me on the shoulder really hard and said, call Carolyn. And I got up and looked around to make sure it wasn't my son messing with me, because he'd do that if he'd catch me asleep. So I sat back down, And I went just immediately back to sleep again. It hit me a little harder on the other side. Call Carolyn, and I did. And she said, Phil, is this you? I said, yes, ma'am, it is. Said, something told me about 30 minutes ago you were going to call. I said, you're kidding. She said, no, I'm not kidding. I mean it. I said, well, are you all right? She said, well, yeah. Are you? I said, well, yeah. I said, well, if you're all right and I'm all right, would you just like to go eat Saturday night? Oh, Lord, no. Man, people are talking around here. What is wrong with you? The mayor, preacher, what are you talking about? I said, well, I didn't think it was too good idea either. She said, well, wait a minute. I said, if you'd like, I'll pick you up and we'll go out to eat. She said, where are we going to go? I said, wherever you want to go. I said, I don't really care. She said, well, you pray about it and I'll pray about it and we'll go. I said, okay. So I did. And I knew what he was going to tell me. He was going to tell me to go to Mallard's up there in Huntington because it wasn't too far and I wouldn't burn much gas. You know what I mean? So I picked her up and we went to eat. And a year later, we married. And we have had the most blessed time. But talking about punching buttons, I can punch some of them buttons sometime, and she'll get mad. She's not out here. She'll get hot. But it happens about every 3 months. And then if I let her alone for 12 hours, she resets. And she's okay. I don't know if y'all have that at home or not, but that's the way it happens at my house. But in 1977, 78, I opened a furniture store in McKenzie, Tennessee. And it was a godsend, really. I opened a little store at Macklemore. I had one in McKenzie and I had one in Camden for a while, but all three were small. And they were preached, they were just about to kill me. They really were. So I decided that I'd narrow them down to one. Keep all the inventory right there where I could say, take this out, and go. You know, and we did that. It made it a lot easier than having stuff so scattered. But I ran that store up until last year. And like I said, about 3 months ago, I went from July the 1st to June the 30th. And then I was still getting rid of things that I had, and we did such an enormous amount of business. I had some stuff that were left, and I just had a this is it sale right at the end of it to try to throw as much other stuff in there as I could and give some bargains that are unreal. But I didn't care. I was so tired, I was ready to go home too. And I don't mean just home, man. I felt like I was going to die, be so tired. But anyway, we did that, and it was very successful, and the Lord provided, and it was just a good time, and we had no accidents or anything, and I just was amazed at that. But in church, I've been a Methodist for my entire life. There have been some things to happen that made me wonder, because we did not have anything to do with some of the decisions that were made, really. I mean, we just really didn't. But we were able to do away with a lot of things that they had printed that they thought would be something they needed to do. There's always somebody got a better idea, you know.
Sure.
But if you love the Lord, He's going to tell you what to do.
Yes, sir.
No matter what it is, and no matter who you are, no matter where you are.
Yes, sir.
He's going to tell you and show you what to do or lead you
That's right.
in a different direction. Well, He kind of told me to stick it out and see what I could do with them. You know, do with the ministry where I was. This is really kind of funny. If you got just a minute, I'll tell you.
Oh, yeah.
They called me. I had 2 little churches out in the country, and they were really good little churches. They were on the Grove. We were coming up with them and doing well. And it was about a 40-mile trip every Sunday. I didn't care. That was great. I could practice all the way to church and practice all the way back. By the time you did 2, you had it down pat. You were doing pretty good. But we just had a good time, and we had good people in both those churches. Some of them were hunters and some fishermen and different things. So we'd come out here and have a fish out sometime.
Oh, yeah.
And they'd love it. They'd love it. But this place has been a blessing for me, period. But back to that story, I had a little boy out here, and he was fishing in a little cove right there. Had a little plastic rod that you pull the trigger, and it throws the bait and everything out in the pond.
Oh, wow.
Well, his daddy came down here, and he helped him set it out, and he started back up the hill, and that little young got to screaming, and he caught a 5-pound bass.
Wow.
Right out there.
How about that? How about that?
On that little plastic rod. That tickled us to death. But there have been so many events out here for the church. Every year we'd have and we still do too, we have a hayride in the fall. We make a big round, and we end up out here eating supper, which is, Methodists always like to eat supper. Baptists do too. I mean, if you're invited,
Guilty, we're
go.
guilty.
That's right. If you're invited, go.
That's right.
But there are so many things that God has blessed us with. He blessed us with good Christian parents. He blessed us with the want to go to church, want to be at church. I know back in the early days, y'all are saying, yeah, that old man sitting up there talking about wanting to go to church. Yeah, only reason he went to church, boy, it was because this is some of them old people down at your church too. Only reason you went to church because they told you to. No, we wanted to go.
Yes, sir.
We wanted to go, and we wanted to go learn about the Lord Jesus Christ, and we did. We wanted to look at God's creation, and He let me have this. I wanted to make a pretty good living, and He helped me with the furniture store. Now, what have I got not to be thankful for? I got a wonderful wife who is a mess, by the way. She's a mess too. But we have just a great life. It's hey, this is kind of funny. How many people in Palatka?
Oh, goodness. Was there like 20-something thousand people?
Oh, man, you know how many people we got in this whole county?
How many?
29,000.
29,000.
You have got more people going down the main drag in Palatka than we got in this whole county. But we've got about 900 miles of road. I mean, we can ride. Might not see many folks, but you can ride. But God is just so good, and He's so, whenever you, and this happens to you too, whenever you say, well, you know what, I just really, Lord, I just don't know what I need to talk about Sunday. Lord have mercy, I looked at the lectionary, and that's not what I feel.
Right.
Lord. And before Sunday, maybe Thursday night, maybe Wednesday night, He'll say, go sit down at that computer, maybe 2 o'clock in the morning. I might not get up till 5, but I'm going to have her in outline like I want it, or like He wants it. He does. And you talk about fun. If you hadn't got God, or if you hadn't got Jesus in your life, I don't think you can have fun.
Yes, sir.
You think you are, but remember back to the chigger.
Right.
Sometimes you're sinning when you're having fun,
Yes.
and that don't make God happy.
No, our joy is in Jesus.
That's exactly right. J-I-J.
Yes, sir.
But if my dad owned this property, or 10 acres or 60 acres of it, before I got a hold of it, and I was so thankful for that. But I'm going to close. And thank you all for listening, by the way. God is great all the time.
Yes, sir.
But He wrote this poem, and I'd like to do it for you. And Max, this is for you. It's okay to say that?
Absolutely.
If it's not, don't let him rub that out now. Max is my buddy. He's my grandson. But Daddy came out here and probably sat somewhere along in here, or maybe over on the deep valley over there. And he wrote this poem, and he wrote it on a sack, I think, to start with, and carried it home, and then Mama Dolly typed it out for him. But it's the valley. I looked down in the valley, and this is what I saw. The work of some great master no artist e'er can draw. There were a lot of trees and flowers and many other things. The morning dewdrops sparkled like 1,000,000 diamond rings. The sun had said good morning as it raised into the sky. The mountain breezes whispered a gentle lullaby. I saw the great stone boulders, monuments to yesteryear. I saw the fleeting shadow of a graceful white-tailed deer. I saw a golden eagle swoop down from its lofty perch as it soared out over the valley to begin its daily search. I refreshed myself with water from a pretty flowing spring, and from the mountain choir loft I heard the songbirds sing. I sat in quiet solitude amidst this wondrous view and wondered how my God could do this thing for me and you. And for a fleeting moment, I forgot I was a man, and with a childlike impulse reached out to hold God's hand. I looked back in that valley, and the picture that I saw was the work of some great master that only God could draw. I welcome you again to Tennessee. It's West Tennessee, and it's a beautiful part of the country. We thank you all for coming. God bless.
Guys, what a tremendous testimony Mr. Phil has, and what a blessing that he would allow us to go up and sit down with him and share, and what a great time together, and what a blessing his land and he was to us. And obviously, as you found out in the last episode, we got the turkey, and that was a blessing. God did that. He provided on those very grounds, and when it seems like there's no way, God makes a way. But in his story, it's a tremendous story of land, of heritage, of what God did. I was just thinking of that tent meeting he went to and gave his life to Christ, and how others that night gave their life to Christ, and the impact it had on him as a young man for the rest of his days, that he could sit at 80 years old, he could sit down and tell his testimony of what he notices and recognizes and testifies to of what God is still doing in his life. And what an absolute blessing. One of the scriptures I want to share, it comes out of 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 16 through 18, and I hope it'll be encouragement to you as you listen. The Bible says this: "For which cause we faint not, but though our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day. For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory, while we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal." And in his testimony, that's what I hear from him, is the God story. He recognizes what God has done and provided in his life, not just in salvation, but in his family, and in that land, and now that land being a blessing, and like you were saying, about the picture behind us,
Yeah. I mean, think about all the people that he's, aside from us, how he's used that land to be a blessing to the people around him. I mean, it'd be easy just to have land and just hunt it yourself and kill a deer and not ever go outside of that, and probably be completely justifiable. But how he's allowed God to use that land to be a blessing to other people. Especially, I know what it's done for us. So
that's right.
No telling what else.
Right.
For the people around him in that community and this church. And
that's exactly right. And with that verse, to see his heart, he's focused, and even right now today, talking about the eternal things and the eternal value of it, because, he said whether you have this, kind of thing or not, you're still blessed.
Still got a lot to be,
you've still got, you got a lot to be blessed. You're so blessed, and we are, guys. We're so blessed. We could praise him for days on end, and yes, these bodies are going to fail. They're going to age. We've even wondered why us and all of this. But God has a glorious plan for every single person, no matter where they are in life. And he is blessing, and he is moving in a mighty way.
Yeah, what a story. I mean, for someone to give their life to Christ that young and live through all the blessings throughout the years, and to be 80 years old, I mean, I just thank God for men like that, men of God that, stands firm and all that. I mean, I just can't imagine, the joy it's brought him by, being obedient to God like that. It definitely gives us something other to look up to, for sure.
Yeah, that faithfulness, and how God honored that, and now look what God did for us, through that. For somebody to share that, share that blessing. And, I'd encourage, everybody, no matter what you have, give it to God and watch what he'll do with it. He'll multiply it for one thing, and he'll let you see that his hand, and we don't do things that God may multiply it, but he just does, because he honors it and he blesses it in a mighty way. and it's just wonderful. If we'll just have our minds on those eternal things, man, and not miss it. I don't want my kids to miss it. I want my family to miss it. I want them to know that what we have is because of God. How He's blessed and provided for us, and then to share it, with everybody else. I shouldn't have a house to live in, cars to drive, and all that God provides, and it's amazing to watch Him do it. So no matter what little you think you may have, it's big.
Yeah,
it's big, and it can be used for God to bring Him honor and glory, and to be a blessing to you. Yeah. Well, we hope this episode has been a blessing to you as much as it's been to us. We want you to check out everything going on with GX3. Stay up with us on the page and through all the platforms. And come along and join the journey, because it's exciting days to not only be alive, but to be going after God. And as men going together, trips being announced soon on places we're going, on things we're doing. We do want to remind you we're going to be at the Georgia Outdoor Blast July the 24th, 25th. Come see us if you're up there north of Atlanta. Be a blessing to have you. Stop by. We're going to be sharing the gospel and just loving on people. And guys,
I'm good. Sounds good. Still don't know what booth we're going to have, but we're going to be there. We'll have a booth.
We're going to be together, man.
Come find us.
We're going to be together for the glory of God. We will be there. Yes. John, you signing us out?
Yep. Yeah, I'm not sure what our closing is.
All right.
Over and out.
All right. Thank y'all for joining us this week for the GX3 High Time Podcast.